So I'm just getting out to a service call on this Reznor unit heater. It's something that our shop installed about a year ago. Ever since it's been installed, it's been having nothing but issues. Just getting out here, what's going on is it will run for about 15-20 minutes and it'll trip out, and then they've been cycling power, and then it will re-kick on. So pretty much it sounds like it's tripping out on some type of a safety, and then they are cycling power to get that safety to reset itself or reset the board and wipe that fault code. So just getting up here, kind of some of the history with this. This is the first time I personally have been out to the site. A couple other techs have been out here, but this whole burner assembly was all messed up originally from the factory. It was just twisted and all just jacked up. So I think they came out and replaced this whole assembly plus the gas valve. I think they did all that. Another thing, I see that it's set to 3.5-inch water column it's a natural gas, so that sounded right. I did bust out my manometer just to kind of make sure that the gas pressure was set right. So I hooked it in here on the basically the backside of the gas valve, and zeroed it out, fired it off, and I had 3.5-inch water column still, which was good to see. And when I got here, I should probably add, it was tripped out right at the get-go. It was flashing right here on this little LED, 3 flashes. And then when I went down and checked the default codes, 3 flashes is limit switch or rollout switch is open. A good way to know pretty quickly, the rollout switch is a manual reset, so I was pretty certain it wasn't that, since they've been able to reset it by just cycling power. So I know it's the high limit that's been tripping out. I did test it and ohm it out. It was good now, but I think it just had locked out the board is what was going on. So I cycled power myself, and then when I fired it off to check gas pressure and everything like that, everything looked good there. I was getting a little stumped on what else to try. I did notice that the venting starts at like 5-inch vent coming out in the backside, and it goes out to 6-inch. I thought that might be an issue, so I wanted to touch base with tech support. I touched base with them, and they said that definitely can create issues. They didn't think that's 100% what was going on. Over here in the Pacific Northwest, one of the things they were saying they've been running into is the blade, where the blade's sitting. I'm going to try to get a view of it. You can kind of see back here where the motor is. Basically from the base of the motor to the little hub of the blade is supposed to be 2 1/8 inches. And they said if that is not set right, you won't get the airflow you need across the heat exchanger. Just looking at it visually, it looks closer to 3 inches to me, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the guys on tech support said it's like really precise to try to be exactly at that measurement. So I'm pretty certain that actually might be what's going on, and it's just not pushing the airflow. I mean, just by physically putting my hand over everything, I mean, it feels like good air pressure and all that stuff. But hearing that from him, and he's so adamant on it, I'm pretty certain that might be what's going on in this particular application. He said that they've been running into it quite often, like I said, up in the Pacific Northwest area. So I'm going to pull that all apart, adjust the blade back on that a little bit, and hopefully it takes care of this so that it stops tripping out on them. I'm probably going to try to take maybe some temperature readings. I'm kind of curious on beforehand and afterwards, just to see if I notice any difference or not. Yeah, I'll try to touch base after I do that, because I am kind of curious if I notice any difference on the temperature itself, kind of being distributed out of this area. So I'll take a look, see if that makes any difference or not. But that is basically what was recommended to by tech support, and kind of honestly what I'm thinking, just based on everything that's been done as well. I mean, there's a small chance it could be a faulty high limit switch, but it's not a normal thing to see. I mean, if it keeps going on, I might try that just to try it, but that it might be a defective or this or that. But like I said, I haven't seen the limit switches themselves fail very often. So that is where I'm at now. I'll touch back in here in a little bit after I do some of those tests. Like I said, I'm going to try to see what the temperature reading is before and after, and just see if I can notice anything with my temperature gun or not. So let's see how that goes. So here's a little bit closer view of what I was talking about. So right here at the base of the motor to the start of this blade where it kind of secures onto the shaft, that is supposed to be your 2 1/8 inch measurement between these two right here. And like I said, I would definitely double check with manufacturer or tech support or something to know your exact measurement. This is a 175,000 BTU unit heater, so that's what they told me for this particular one. That might vary based on what model you have and everything like that. But yeah, that's the information I was given. I'm hopeful that is what's going on. I think with how much I had to adjust mine about half, maybe almost 3/4 of an inch. So I'm hoping that makes all the difference for this particular situation. Now that I got that all put back together, one thing I always like to do pretty much on any motor or wheel, condensing fan motor, anything with a blade or a wheel on it, I always like to give it a spin, just make sure nothing's hitting and grinding. I'd rather find out with a flick of the finger than when it actually gets to turn on at full power or full speed. Everything looks good there. I'm not seeing anything that looks abnormal or out of place, so I'm gonna go ahead and fire this guy off. So I just made some adjustments to the shaft, where the blade is sitting on the shaft. I took some temperature readings before, but honestly it wasn't the easiest to take temperature readings. I was doing it with an infrared gun, and it just wasn't giving me the most accurate readings. And honestly, it's for me to do that method, it wasn't probably the best way to do it, because I did some before and after, but the numbers are bouncing around so much that it's almost useless for me at this point. But I got all that done, so I'm going to kind of let it run here probably for about 15-20 minutes, see if it trips out. The sweet spot is kind of around 10-15 minutes when they said this thing had been tripping out, so I'm going to let it run and cross my fingers it doesn't trip out, and hopefully that gives us the solution that we wanted and this heat starts working for them. If any of you guys ran into situations like that, feel free to leave some comments on stuff that has worked for you. I was a little concerned that the gas pressure might have been too high and it was burning too hot, but it didn't seem like that was the case. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.